Hey guys, so if you're living in the northern part of the United States or in Canada right now, oh my goodness guys, just brace yourselves if you're not already getting hit by it. I hope everybody's bundled up warm up here. I know that if you look in the back right there, I've put a blanket underneath the window just to hold in a little bit more heat. It's not exactly helping that I'm sick as a dog right now. But that's neither here nor there. You guys stay warm, stay safe, and today we're going to learn about something completely unsafe, and that will be the Crave. Now, how much do I know about the Crave? Surprisingly, I don't know that much. I do know they were involved in at least 2 engagements during the Great Crusade, one of which was put down by Corvus Corax and the Raven Guard, and one was put down by Angron and the World Eaters. So the Crave are nasty. Let's just put it like that. If there were more of them, there'd be a serious problem. But thankfully, there's not as many of them. I would like to see an army listing for the Crave. I would like to see an army listing for a lot of the species that the Imperial Man has not yet wiped out. That it could add a lot of flavor. Right now, we just have so few. And, it would be nice to be able to see some of these other races kind of more fleshed out and things like that. The Tau, in and of themselves, are a great example of this. They are, at best, a local power, and any faction within any one of the major factions could wipe them out, provided they could spare enough resources to do it. But they are so well fleshed out as a faction. I would love to see this done for a few other factions. But let's get into one of these factions, which is the Crave. Here we go. This is done by Majorkill, and it was requested by Wave of Manga. Here we go.
G'day guys and gal. There are some seriously powerful Xenos out there, especially during the Great Crusade, where mankind had been the galaxy's bitch for 5,000 years. However, there is no Xeno race that even remotely matches the Crave in power. A race of pure evil, psychic, god-tier nightmares capable of enslaving entire worlds to their will with minimal effort. A race that was only prevented from sodomizing the entire galaxy due to the Dark Angels taking off the gloves and going full war crimes ruthless mode. When I say most powerful Xeno, I don't mean like as a collective race. That title would go to the Necrons or even the Rungdan. But in terms of actual individual Xenos, nothing else comes close. A single Crave warrior can delete a space marine with only a thought, while possessing a normal human from across the galaxy, taking drone warfare to all new heights. Let that sink in for a second. A single elite Crave would have next to no issue deleting your entire tabletop force. Their writing, like all GW writing, is a bit inconsistent, going from them each individually being powerhouse Xeno gods, all the way to them just being like a little bit nasty. However, I'll try to explain the in-law reason for this huge power discrepancy between different Crave. Don't worry, Games Workshop, I've got your back. Before we get started, Manscaped, it slaps.
I didn't know this about the Crave. I knew that they were powerful. I didn't know they were this powerful. I know that Angron and Corvus Corax engaged them. I didn't know about the Dark Angels, though. I did not know it was this serious.
Whether it be the Lawnmower 4.0 that cleanly and safely removes any hair on your body, and I mean any hair, the ball deodorant that makes your sweaty, stinky family jewels smell nice for once, the Plow 2.0, a single-bladed razor that gives you a cutthroat clean shave without any of the cutthroat or razor bumps. The list goes on, but I'm not here to tell you what you already know. I'm here to tell you about their latest and greatest innovation, the Ultra Smooth Package. This package is all about going bald eagle, hence the Ultra Smooth Package comes with a safety razor as well as groin-specific shaving gel and an exfoliator, so you're getting a clean, safe shave.
I'm letting this ad play, but at the same time I want to make fun of it so bad. Anyhow.
And a nice cleanse. The exfoliator is to prevent the ingrown hairs, razor bumps, and all those pretty traumatizing negative side effects that often come with downstairs grooming. To be honest, this is one of the Manscaped products that would be a great gift for your lady friend. So for a delicious 20% off and free international shipping on any and all Manscaped products, including the new Ultra Smooth Package, then use my link and code Majorkill below. Hygiene and grooming is considered to be one of the greatest turn-ons. Don't skimp out on it, guys. guys. Cheers to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over the Crave, how old they are, what their empire is like, why they're so goddamn powerful, and where they currently are in the setting. Let's get into it.
I'd like to know that myself. Here we go.
In 40k, there was no primordial god who caused the Big Bang, at least not that we know of. A few races were faster than others out of the gates, and they were the first ones to establish some kind of dominance. The old ones, Necrontyr, Catan, and yes, the Crave. These were some of the first races to evolve. Whilst the old ones seeded the galaxy with intelligent life, the Crave followed in their wake, dominating and consuming these vulnerable child races to feed their own insatiable hunger. Imagine planting trees and then some asshole keeps pulling them up and eating them. Fuck the Crave. Some people think that the Crave were an early creation of the Old Ones, which would explain why they came before the Orcs and the Elder, as well as why they were so powerful in the ways of the Warp. But on closer inspection, this doesn't add up too well. The Old Ones always had a purpose for their creations. Even the Orcs were considered to be a last-ditch super weapon against the Necrons and the Catan.
Which
it just doesn't make
badly.
sense for them to make a mega evil parasitic race that wants to rape all of creation as a side hobby. Whilst the Crave were powerful, they were also quite cowardly. I mean, their name is literally the Crave, a play on Craven, and they would never stand a chance against the psychic might of the Old Ones. On top of this, the Crave grow in power as they age, and with the galaxy being so young, they hadn't yet had the chance to produce their mega multi-million-year-old Crave that caused the Imperium so many issues. This is why they were like small parasites to the Old Ones instead of a real threat. So whilst the Old Ones clapped the Necrontyr, then got clapped in turn by the Necrons and the Catan, who then got clapped by themselves in the absolutely asshole-tearing war in heaven, the Crave hid in the northern fringe, striking out at vulnerable worlds but never really committing to open war against any of the significantly more powerful races in the galaxy at the time. Even with the disappearance of the Old Ones, the shattering of the Catan, and the self-induced coma of the Necrons, the Elder was still powerful enough to keep the Crave sidelined, even though the Crave did dominate and consume both Elder and Orc worlds during the next 60 million years when they were feeling a little bit spicy. But if each individual Crave was more than a match for a single Orc or Elder, or 100 Orcs and Elder, then why didn't they try fight them and dominate the galaxy? Well, who's to say they didn't? We don't really know a whole lot about the 60 million years between the war in heaven and the Elder fucking themselves to the brink of extinction, quite literally. However, there is a pretty straightforward scientific answer. As the Crave seemingly evolved naturally, if they weren't a creation of the Old Ones that is, they would follow scientific rules of evolution. A big one is that the longer you live and the more durable you are, the less offspring you need to ensure your race's survival. A Crave is immortal and can only be killed by some serious effort by something seriously powerful. Plus the Craves are buttfuck ugly, so their reproductive rate would have been obscenely low, especially when you think about how unsustainable their feeding is. If there were billions of Crave, then they would have either consumed the entire galaxy and died out, or starved to death. From what we have seen in the lore, there genuinely only seems to be a few thousand of them in existence at a time, could be even less. When mankind first spread the galaxy's cheeks and explored its forbidden depths, their technology was insanely advanced, but their knowledge of the warp was trash, mostly because psychers weren't really a thing yet. Hence, the exploration fleets that entered into Crave territory were easy pickings for the dormant race. After easily dominating or consuming any humans they encountered, as well as catching wind of the Eldar's demise via the fuck-off psychic whiplash of Slaanesh's birth, the Crave became emboldened, striking out and dominating world after world. The conquering was subtle. They would always lay seeds, making a world's population docile as they slowly fed on them to avoid attracting too much attention. They were still cowards after all. Sometimes it would seem as if they were driven away from a human world, only to reveal that they never truly left and had been sucking the humans dry whilst the Astartes had moved on to do other space marine shit. So let's go over each of humanity's encounter with the Crave and how they inevitably overcame this seemingly unovercomable force of evil. Well, funnily enough, the World Eaters were one of the first legions to overcome a Crave incursion and even kill some of them. On Sedak 17, a handful of Crave had dominated the local humans and had just easily repelled any attempts to retake the world, mostly because they could just easily dominate any human who tried. However, space marines, especially ones as insano style as the World Eaters, cannot be fucked with by the Crave. As such, I imagine the World Eaters just kind of Leroy Jenkins into that shit, carved their way through millions of Crave thralls, whilst their Primarch Angron came his pants from all the bloodshed. The psychic shock of losing so many thralls so quickly and violently would have been like a punch in the dick of the Crave, whose cowardly instincts would have kicked in as the World Eaters reached them and tore them to shreds. Going full retard berserker mode has consistently been shown as a good counter to psychic powers, and Serak 17 was just another example of that. The next legion to face them was the Raven Guard, and this encounter was a bit inconsistent with others, but there's actually a bit of an in-law reason for this. The Crave had dominated the world of Indrasul and had been harvesting the human population on it like cattle. They had actually been breeding the humans in order to have multi-generational and semi-sustainable food. When Corvus arrived, he went full Rambo mode, taking his best 2,000 Astartes and infiltrating the Crave hive. They sabotaged, ambushed, and infiltrated, bringing battle to the Crave and taking them unaware. Despite significant losses, the Raven Guard were able to purge the Crave on their own turf. Now, generally this would make zero sense. The Crave are these hyper-dimensional god-tier Xenos that should have been able to pancake the Raven Guard with ease, until we look at the details. These Crave had overindulged, overate. They were sluggish, not on guard, and hadn't fought in hundreds if not thousands of years. Also, they probably weren't
This does have a side effect.
super old yet, nor did they have many of the mega Primarch tier Crave that were millions of years old. On top of that, many of the Crave here were dormant, in hibernation, being rudely awoken by flamethrowers and power claws. They would have been groggy as fuck. From my readings, it also seems like the Raven Guard used flamethrowers, fire being one of the Crave's main weaknesses. Regardless, it was a hard-fought but decisive victory
Fire is usually a major weakness of anything biological
for the Imperium. However, the greatest and deadliest of Crave incursions would come up against the might of the Dark Angels and their legendary Primarch, the Lion. This Crave force was digging deep
I can already tell this didn't go well for them if the Lion was in charge.
into human territory, led by a conclave of Super Crave and above that, the king of the entire Crave race. A being who was dozens of millions of years old and had enough psychic might to make Magnus blush. If he could blush, the fuckhead is red. For context, these Super Crave are able to possess a human mortal from thousands of light years away and turn them into an Alpha Plus Psycho while they're possessed.
That's nightmare.
This makes the Crave insanely overpowered at infiltration. The only downside is that because the connection is so strong, if the Crave host dies, the Crave possessing them does as well. A single Crave can possess millions of humans at one time. However, this version of possession is weak, more like simple mind control and not like actual possession or empowerment. But mind controlling millions of people at a time is still very overpowered. The Lion could sense the Crave, hence he directed his legion to Muspel, the world that the Crave were currently feeding on. After thwarting them and just straight up pissing them off a number of times, the Crave said fuck this and launched their ambush. A full third of the Dark Angel serfs and fleet members, not including the actual Astartes themselves, came under Crave influence and begun killing their fellow crew members and attempting to mutiny each ship. A Super Crave host was also unleashed. By possessing a normal non-psycho remembrancer, the Crave was able to compress Dark Angels into balls of goo, make them explode from the inside out, and just kill them very easily. It took a team of elite anti-Crave librarians wielding guns that could destroy your soul to mildly inconvenience the Crave host. The Crave host actually overcame and even beat these librarians. It was only until it faced the Lion and made the incredibly foolish decision to try dominate the first Primarch's mind did the Super Crave get fucking annihilated. And this was just one of a number of Super Crave, which are a league below the king of all Crave. Although the Dark Angels resisted this Crave takeover, a takeover led by only one Super Crave, the main Crave force soon arrived to wipe out the Dark Angels. The Imperial ships weren't able to fire upon the Crave ships, as the Crave
I need to read this book.
were able to psychically blind the human crew members to their position. They then unleashed millions of human thralls, dozens of Crave warriors, and even a Crave Titan, which was like this eldritch abomination spawned into existence via a conclave of Super Crave channeling and combining their power.
So Super Saiyan 2 Craves unleash a Super Saiyan giant monkey Crave. And somewhere out there, there's a Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Crave. Lovely.
The rough part is that the Dark Angels weren't able to use their own Titans, as once the Princeps would power it up, the Crave would just possess them and turn the Titan against the First Legion.
Lovely.
The Dark Angels are barely able to survive the onslaught, only able to hold on because they used a bunch of Dark Age of Technology no-no guns that even the Emperor is hesitant to use. The Lion was able to outplay and board the Crave kingship, facing off the Lord of all the Crave. In a straight up fight, the King of the Crave was more powerful. He was so old that his body had petrified, but his mind was obscene. He was able to batter around Johnson like a toy, and even penetrate deep into his mind. It was only when the Deathwing, backed up by enslaved men of iron, intervened that the Lion was able to get the upper hand and shove his sword through the King Crave's skull. With the death of the King of the Crave, as well as the many Crave that died during the battle on the planet below, as well as the Crave Titan being destroyed through massive amounts of effort, there was a massive psychic blowback. attack that released the Crave's control on most of their human thralls, killed even more Crave, and shattered the core of their race's power. No other legion could have done this. The Lion outplayed the fuck out of the Crave, like only a master hunter could, and he still nearly lost. His angels unleashed half of their forbidden arsenal, and that only barely kept them alive. A legion without the Lion or those weapons would have been slaughtered, with maybe the exception of only the Thousand Sons. Since their defeat by the Lion, the Crave have been pretty quiet, not doing much since the Horus Heresy. This is because the majority of their super powerful old Crave have been killed, leaving only the younger, weaker Crave behind. However, in the recent setting, the Crave had become emboldened, once again attacking Imperial space and going up against Space Marines. Although they are a tough enemy of mankind, they are nothing compared to what they once were, hence their threat level is pretty low. It only takes an Astartes chapter to fight off an entire Crave incursion these days, not an entire legion led by their Primarch. It's just another dope Xeno race that we will never get a mini for, unless I do something about it. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be, where there is not only a clunge load of nude cosplay shots, but also a boatload of Battle Mace 40 million hentai.
Lovely.
Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe.
So that was the Crave, guys. I knew a little bit about that. I'm surprised he didn't go into some of the incursions that have happened later on, but I do know that there's been at least 4 incursions, maybe 5. I didn't know about the Dark Angels one. Now I got to include that into the 4 or 5. In any case, yeah, powerful. And this is why humanity took the nosedive that did during the Age of Strife. I mean, these are the kind of Xenos that were out there. When people think about, and this is something that I've kind of gotten used to when I explain 40K, it's like, why is it the thing where they kill all the Xenos? Why can't they just get along? It's because when humanity went down to the Age of Strife, nobody extended a hand to them to try to help them up out of the mire. Usually it was to stomp on them as hard as possible, wipe them out, or do worse. So, yeah, humanity isn't exactly a group of nice people. But then again, nobody else is either. I'm going to stop talking here before I start feeling any more sick than I already am. So, and I talk for a living. I talk for a living too over there. So that is just, it is just not. It's not been a very fun couple of days. The more I do stuff, the more ill I feel. So, it is what it is, guys. All of Majorkill's links are going to be in the description down below, right next to my own, including his promo in case you guys want to shave your balls, or if there's the 5 or 6 women that watch the channel. If you want to buy that for your man, go ahead and buy him something. Get him to shave his balls. In any case, my links are going to be in the description down below as well, including my Patreon. All the fabulous artwork that Valk has done is going to be down there as well. And my Discord. Come in. Throw rocks at me. I'll be fine. I'll catch you guys next time. Stay warm, guys. It's going to be very cold.